Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? You can't probably see me, can you? Okay, let me move my... Okay, let me know if you can hear me. Oh, okay. Nice. Well, DM me or talk to me about your gym teacher and see maybe we know each other. Degrowth is probably very easy to manipulate. Okay, degrowth is the idea that everyone needs to consume less. Unfortunately, that's not even true. Not everyone needs to consume less. Americans need to consume less. So it is a very dangerous thing that will get people very easily swayed into green new imperialism. Okay, so if everyone can hear me, this is great. Hello, that's where my parents are from. Nice to see you, Steve, and it's good to know that I'm like reaching out to people in Benton Harbor and like because Benton Harbor is kind of a very strange town in that there's a big minority population and right in the Southwest Michigan, which is majority white, but it also had a whirlpool. It's like a very strange it's a very interesting town is all I'm gonna have to say. Lots of things going on. Well, it's good. This is also an excellent point, and with that we will get started on what I was trying to say about the green new imperialism. And it's funny because all Americans. Okay, I'm gonna just hide the stream so that I am coherent for a little while. No offense, but okay. So climate change is absolutely an existential threat to humanity. There's no ands, ifs, and buts about it. But what we have is a bunch of sociopaths who don't really, I don't know what they're thinking in regards to how they're gonna survive climate change. But they are not really on a they aren't really tackling climate change. I mean, if they have not tackled it by now, they're not going to tackle it. But what they're going to do is what I call green new imperialism. So I'd like to shout out Samira Khan from Twitter. She gave me this. So let the fun begin. Let me know if you can see the screen. Can you guys see the screen? I'm going back to the okay, excellent. Okay. So this is, just so you know, this is the Carnegie Endowment for whatever. How do I do markups in Adobe? Sorry, I should not get distracted like this. There has to be a way to do a markup. Comment. Okay, maybe this is. Okay. Oh, yeah, it is this. Okay. How do I? Okay, so don't pen. That's it. And I just need to change the color. Okay. So so don't get fooled by their name. If they're a US think tank, they probably want to bomb everything. This is the dangerous part. Making US foreign policy work better for the middle class. The reason why it is, hello, Sami Tsiang from UK. I love the UK. Kind of. Don't let. But I love cities in the UK. I just don't like your government because you guys colonize us. But I love I like British people too. No matter how much I say this, but you guys are fun. There's like a lot of cultural commonness between Indians and Brits. Like, yeah. But don't. I would not say this out loud too much, but whatever. If they're watching my stream, I'm totally gonna do it. Okay. Look at this. Do you guys know who Jake Sullivan is? Okay. So Jake Sullivan is Biden's national security advisor, or something like that. And I bet you there are other psychos here too. So what I wanted to explain is that they don't actually, they're going to, often these think tanks have a way of letting you know what they're going to do without, and then you're going to see all these news articles in the press that kind of follows their plan. So they're very, very boring. I understand this. And it's kind of hard to go through this, but basically, it's still important, even though it's a very boring thing. It's something that we all need to kind of take turns going through. Okay. I'm not going to go through all 90 pages, of course, but some things we should probably go through. And I'll try to figure out a way to put my annotation. I know I can probably just put it on my Substack later. Yeah, I'll just do that. So with that, we shall commence. So the first part is that always be sure about these psychotic code words. What does it mean that the US must be strong at home and abroad? Usually, okay, so the thing is that if people are doing psychotic things like oh, thank you so much, Rob. Shiba dog dressed in a traditional outfit wearing Japanese fans. I don't understand, but okay. Hers green new structural adjustment is even worse than that. Okay. So it usually means like bomb a lot of things. Okay. And remember, isolationism from the US is very good, because what they're really afraid of when they mean this is, oh my God, we can't exploit third world. We'll get to they're so scared. Like, it's not like Hitler they're afraid of. They're kind of happy about Hitler. It was, oh my God, we can't exploit third world countries. Okay. What? Okay. So, I should read this out. If there was ever a truism, okay, this is nonsense. I don't want. Okay, hawks and doves and isolationists and neoconservatives all agree that a critical pillar of U.S. foreign policy power lies in its middle class. This is a very psychotic thing. That it looks kind of innocent in the beginning, but why? What do they need the middle class for? Well, let's see. Somebody said I was very choppy yesterday with the ins and outs, but what we need the middle class for is extremely obvious. You need them to be foot soldiers when they are sent. So, if for example, the Tsar of Russia could not get his poor peasants to shoot at other people in World War I, but you can get somebody to just like press a button and drone random Iraqis. So the middle class needs to be. Most of American propaganda is aimed at that middle class so that they will kill everything that moves. Okay. And I probably won't get through all of this, and tell me if I'm boring you. This is just like a necessary evil that we kind of need to go through. Okay. Econ. Okay. What? They should not be in the rest of the world. They should be like sequestered. What the hell? Okay. So they more or it lies. So these platitudes often kind of tell you things, but you have to kind of understand it. After 3 decades of US primacy on the world stage, America's middle class finds itself in a precarious state. I wonder why. Capitalism. The economic challenges presented by globalization, technological change, financial imbalances have gone largely unmet by us, of course. Whenever they use passive tense, be care. Okay. And was before the novel corona plunged the country. No, the coronavirus did not plunge the country into the worst economic crisis. It is the government did. And exposed, and I know that the coronavirus government policies. Okay. Interesting that they think this. That's very okay. This is a very interesting. And then they said that it launched a social unrest not seen since the height of the civil rights movement. So there is probably more social unrest than we actually think there is. So there's probably a lot of different things that are not getting covered. If the United States stands any chance of renewal at home, it must conceive its role in the world differently. That too has become a point of rhetorical consensus across the spectrum. What will it take to fashion a foreign policy that supports the aspirations of the middle class? That means that the only reason there exists a middle class, as you guys know, is because, well, the US goes and bombs. Okay, so the US goes and bombs a country. Then that country needs, and then extracts the raw resources. And remember, with the trade imbalance. So if you have, I'm just making up these numbers, Google this, and you'll realize that my proportions are right, but probably my numbers are wrong. So let's put damn it. Okay, let's put a little weighing scale here. Okay. Now, here, okay. Cancel. Let's see. Okay, we can put a little weighing scale here and another weighing scale here. Let's make this weighing scale a little shorter. Okay, this is good. Okay, so now let's say that we have raw materials. Like this is like a bowl. I know my drawing skills suck, and this is like another bowl, and I know my drawing skills really suck. So let's say that there is raw materials on the one side. So things like, and then raw, and then there's manufactured goods. By the way, this is not exactly relevant. I mean, this is not exactly what's going on today. So it's something really much not worse, but a little different. But you kind of have to, if you understand this concept, it's just about the concept. So I will explain how it's been changed. So now, if you have 1 kilogram of raw iron ore, let's say, okay, so let's change the color. Okay, this looks like a So let's say that you have 1 kg of raw iron ore, and no, let's make this 10 kilograms. Okay, I could actually look up the prices, and then here is, let's just go one step further. Actually, I will look up the prices. Why not? Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry. Let me fix this. Now, can you see the scale? Thank you, Neil. I appreciate this. Yeah, I don't think often strategically like this. Okay, perfect. So then, let me just look up the prices. Why not? I'll be accurate. Okay, today, the price of steel is I don't know what the for 10 tons. Okay. The price, okay. This is perfect. I found it. Okay. This is worse than I would have thought. Okay, perfect. This is today. Let me see. How do I do this? I'm gonna have to now go a little in and out. But give me 1 second. I found it. Okay, I found it. Okay. Now do you guys see this? Okay. So this is for 10 tons of 10 tons of steel versus iron ore. 10 tons of steel is $5,745. 10 tons of iron ore is $197. So that is, let's see, how do we, so 197 times 10 is 1,970. So it is 50 times more to have a process. This is just one step up from raw ore. So the price of but guess what? Which one takes more labor? From going from, let's say, dirt to iron ore versus iron ore to steel. One, you just put it in some conveyor belt in a factory and it does whatever it needs to do. Dirt to iron ore is actually the much, well, I won't, hold on. Yes, but it's, we'll talk about the coal a little later, but this is about just the supply chain. So dirt to iron ore is going to take a lot more labor than iron ore to steel. So why is it that steel is worth 50 times the amount, even though it clearly takes more labor to go from dirt to iron ore? Imperialism. That's because to go from iron ore to steel, you need to have some kind of steel, production thingy. No, there are not plenty of confounding variables. I'll tell you exactly. Actually, Che Guevara tells you, if you look, there is a really good Che Guevara speech, and he's also written lots of stuff about this, and he goes into painful detail about this. yeah, there's like none. It is all imperialism. So the dirt to steel takes a lot. But yeah, this is exactly it. The reason why this is it is because you can't just, I mean, you have, even if you're like really primitive, like even if it was in the 1600s or whenever they invented steel, you still had to build like some kind of foundry to heat the molten metal and whatnot. So what happened, but in the modern day, it's some kind of factory to process the iron ore. Um, and back in the early 1900s and the mid 1900s, what they did was they put these factories in what you consider the first world countries, and then they had these extraction places from what you consider third world countries. So, and the reason why is because not every country has like, the earth is kind of weird. Some places under the earth you have coal, some places under the earth you have steel, and some places you have cobalt. So that is just a fact of life. But because these raw materials were in a certain place, capitalists would go and invade the place. Kind of like with India, of course. India had its own industries. Like, it had actually far more advanced industries than England, British. If you should read William Dalrymple's The Anarchy. And he talks about how Jahangir, who was the Mughal king before the British, like before the whole kingdom disintegrated, like there's a British envoy, and he has this like manufacturing facility that just like manufactures these like toys, like boom. And so the British people are afraid. They're like, oh, they have nothing we can trade with because they can manufacture things. So then they came and bomb. I don't know if they had bombs back then, but the first thing they destroyed were the weaving factories in Bengal and in Madras, and then they cut off the factory workers' thumbs too. Anyways, I don't know. I always sorry, I went into a little digression, but this is I know this because I've looked through it's Chennai now. I'm using the improper British name as opposed to the proper Indian name. So yeah, Chennai and Madras are the same thing. For people, sorry if I'm and sorry if I'm using the old name, which I should probably not be using, but whatever. Okay, so Chennai and Madras are the same thing. Well, okay. So so in these third world countries, you didn't. So this is what Marx means by controlling the means of production. It's not easy to build entire factories to make whatever. This is just one step, by the way. We're not even at the iPhone stage, because then the price just like goes each step in the supply chain. There's like it just gets like this and this. So so this is the first thing. So then so what you realize is that the third world laborers are getting underpaid for their work. And ultimately, there's a really cool song, but I probably will get a copyright hit if I play it. It's called No Congo, No Phone. Download that. It's a really good song. But so this has been going on for 200 years, 300 years. I don't know. How long has colonization going on? Okay, so the British came to India at around 1750. They probably came to Africa a little after that. So about close to 300, let's just say 300 years. So for 300 years, Europe plus America has been having this kind of relationship. So, and this means that if Africa tried to get independence and build their own factories, it could go bomb. And yeah, so this is the world. Oh, by the way, guess which stage does it take to, like, guess which stage also extracts greenhouse gases more? This stage here. How do I do this? Oh, no, I'm covering. Okay, this stage here. How do I do this? Oh, this is really annoying. Or this stage. Which one uses more greenhouse gases? It's this one, by the way. So what's now been going on is that, I hope I'm making sense, and I'm not boring people. I just, yeah, I get so I'm a weird thing. If you have too many comments, I get really, really overwhelmed and confused. But if we have too little comments, I get nervous. So I just kind of, because I feel like I am not making sense to anyone. Okay. Oh, by the way, please share and tell your friends why this stream is super important. And I understand no one wants to talk about supply chains because it's like one of the most boring things on earth. But oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, why don't you bookmark this and watch it after work, because it's very important. Okay. Yeah, that's the only thing is this is like a lot of really boring stuff. So I don't want to, but it's very important. Okay. So, so now, yes, exactly. Gani's right. Kolkata is Kolkata. And then there's another town in Kerala called Kozhikode. What did I say? The earth is, yeah, well, the earth is, resources are not evenly distributed across the earth, and I don't want to get bogged down in why, so I just kind of needed to explain that. It's weird. Okay. Okay, so here, they kind of explain this. You should get very scared when the US wants to bring manufacturing back, because that means that they want to also bomb something. Because why else? Okay, so let's say that you're in India, and okay, so this is where the capitalists have kind of gotten themselves stuck, because they did this relationship when a lot of these countries later, like maybe around the 1980s or maybe 1990s, built their own factories. There's a labor differential. So a factory worker in India probably gets paid like $100 for every $1,000 in American. I don't know. I'm just making up these numbers. Oh, okay. So, why on earth would any country buy? Oh, yeah, the U.S. also did this free trade thing. So you can't price discriminate. So, like, okay. So, okay. So let me see if I can. I'll make a visual that's really that explains the catch-22 that these imperial motherfuckers are up to. Okay. So the okay. Yes. Yeah. In India, Saturdays you don't get off either. You have half a day on Saturday, even in school. But I don't know if it's because I think it's a cultural thing, because Hindus don't have that same idea of Sabbath, like Sunday, as Christians. So I'm not too concerned that their work day is well, it is exploitive right now, but schools are also, they have a half day on Saturday, but then there are other holidays. So it's okay if if they're getting like if there's a balance. And but yeah, right now, because they supply, I know that people who supply to Westerners, oh my god, like if they're in the tech industry, if they're computer programmers, they work really crazy hours. Like they work from 3 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then they drive on their motorcycle and then they get into accidents. There's a so yeah, that part is exploitive, but just the working 6 days a week itself may not be, because like I said, Hindus don't have the same concept of Sabbath, so it's just the way the different cultures have it. And in Islam, you have Fridays off. So yeah, and but what? Okay, so now the West has a dilemma. So this is what happened. When they okay, so this is the West's dilemma. So they, because of this, because of their own doing, because of their imperialism, the West, this is the West's dilemma, their own doing, 100% their fault. Okay, so there is a big price differential. So when they did the whole Bretton Woods, GATT, all that nonsense, they decided that, oh, we need to be able to flood third world countries with our goods and drive all the locals out of business, and then we'll have a monopoly. And so that happened. So that was when they had this free trade thing. But then the third world countries were like, eventually they got their independence and they're like, okay, screw this. We are having our own factories. And then the capitalists who were thinking about only their own profit were like, oh, let's move all our manufacturing to India and China because we only have to pay workers 30 cents instead of $7 or whatever they pay. And we can use child labor. Ha ha ha. They did. That was their strategy because they were not thinking far enough ahead. And now they're like, oh, we're screwed because now China has all the manufacturing. And now, like, why are we even needed? And that's kind of what's going on. This is related to climate change. Just bear with me, but we kind of have to understand what has happened in history. So right now, like, why would you buy Western manufactured? So free trade means they can't price discriminate. So there's a wage differential. Free trade means you can't price discriminate. So you have to let you can't put tariffs. You just kind of have to let goods from other countries come in. And this was very beneficial to the US when they were just wanting to flood everything. And then, obviously, goods from other countries will be cheaper. Okay, so okay, so now let me see if you can see this. Can you see this? Or do I need to make it bigger? Let me see. Is this better? So now, why on... yeah, it's kind of weird. I spent a lot of time in India when I was young. So it was like 1 year. My dad did a lot of work with developmental economics, so we traveled a lot. And so like I went to school all over the world. Like I remember 1 year I'd go to India and then the next year I'd come back here, but then I'd know way too much math and I'd get so bored and I had ADHD and yeah. So Okay, you need it bigger. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me make it bigger. You see wage differential. Okay, wage differential means third world countries, you don't pay them, you underpay workers. The second part is that because you're underpaying workers, goods from third world countries will be cheaper. But because the West were like, hey, we want free trade so we can go bankrupt your people and ruin them, they're kind of stuck. They are stuck with the rules of the game that they themselves created. Gani is absolutely right. Furniture stores like IKEA have opened their stores in the global south and oftentimes driving out local businesses. Absolutely. Gani is also right here. That was the first thing about NAFTA. And then the second one is they were like, hey, we're so smart. We're going to move our factories to Mexico so we can use slave labor. No, definitely hate the players, especially the players who rigged the game. Thank you, Mr. Piece of Work. I'm glad I found the right kind of people who don't. Yes, I am banned from TikTok until August 1st for, I believe it was a MLK video, but I think he mentions the Klan, and then I show some pictures of the Klan. Yes. Yeah, some idiot libertarian got upset that I show. Okay, so there was a videos of somebody pretending to pretending that there. Okay, so do you guys remember when the fishermen in Venezuela? I'm sorry about the digression. I will mark this at 38 minutes. Okay. There was, I don't know if you remember last year, but there were these fishermen who caught these mercenaries in Venezuela. Well, the Cuban gusanos took a video of that place in Venezuela and tried to claim it was Cuba. But it was clear that it's Venezuela because that fish market has a big picture of Simon Bolivar. And if you look at it, it's like very distinct to that city in Venezuela. Like there's no way it could be Cuba. And I was like, this is not Cuba, this is Venezuela. And then these gusanos got really mad and mass reported me, I think for something. They were just like looking at something. And so yeah, I'm banned until August 1st. Okay, so back. So now what's going on is that the West, so the West basically created that's why it's kind of funny because the rules of the game you are coding Elizabeth Warren. Got it. I'm sorry, it just didn't connect to me. Okay. So what happens is that the West is upset. Okay. So so what's going on is that this is the rules. So the rules is not working for them. They want to change the rules of the. So now, so free trade now means that they have to let Chinese goods in. So there's the free trade WTO stuff. Then there's also the WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property, and then they made patent rules. This means that they're going to have to let patents in from recognized patents made in India too, or China. And then there is the fact that the people in third world countries are poorer because of imperialism. And finally, so that means the goods will be cheaper in third world countries. and so the West essentially cannot compete in the marketplace of ideas. Or, sorry, just in a free trade marketplace, not the marketplace. They can't compete in the marketplace of ideas either, but they can't compete in the free market, actually, with China or any other country, to be honest. Singapore, they can't even compete with Thailand, to be honest, in the actual market that they set up. So then they can't compete. This is obvious. So they are trying to cheat now. They're like, okay, so what you realize is that, okay, so this is really related to climate change. We're going to get to the green imperialism, but you kind of have to understand this. So just bear with me for just one quick, just for a few more minutes. So yeah, so then they can't so then they can't actually compete in the marketplace of that they created themselves. That's the irony. They can't actually and they've admitted that. Let's see, can you see this? Okay, this is all I can do as big. I'm sorry if it's not big enough. Okay, so now they can't, they've decided that they can't actually compete. And now they also have underdeveloped all these places in Africa and Asia. For example, in Myanmar, there's a really weird river where you have a highway that goes till here, and then there's a river here, and then there's a highway that goes till here. But but because they wanted British boats to be able to go unfettered, they didn't build a bridge. And for the past God knows how long, trucks would have to stop, take a ferry to the other side, undock and drive, and there was no bridge. But China is going to build a bridge, or I don't know if it has China finished building that bridge. Let me check. It's in the process. Okay. 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 So it's in the process. Okay. This is okay. I see. Okay. And let's see if you guys can see this. Yeah. So it's in the process of being built. So what you'll and every third world country has things like this. But unfortunately, what's going to happen? Oh, that's actually a great idea. I might do this. But I hate talking alone, and I wish I always had somebody with me to be a guest. So if one of you bold ones want to volunteer to be my guest where you talk with me, I would love to do it, because otherwise I hate talking to the void by myself. So what happens is that you like I said, what happens is that you basically so okay, so the West has actually gotten itself into a dilemma. Okay. And now I will show you the council for I think I've shown you this, but I will. My dad spoke a little bit about this when he came on, but I will show it to you again. So now the Council for Foreign Relations it has admitted to this basically, in that they've gotten themselves into a bloody dilemma. They can't actually compete. Did I do this? Is this the Council of Foreign Relations? Okay. Let me find that. Just give me 1 minute. And so they have completely screwed themselves, shot themselves in the foot. And what you'll notice is that, give me 1 more second. I just need 1 more second, so I'm just going to rant. Okay, let's see. What are we going to talk about? What are we going to rant about? Wait, I have not explained how this is related to the Green New Deal. I understand. Just I need patience for that, because we kind of have to get the basics in. Like we can't really. Where did I put the thing? We can't kind of talk about. We can't really talk about much without talking. So give me a second. Let me just go la-di-da. Where did I put the file? Damn it. I should have it. I know I'm boring people. Found it. Okay. Okay, found it. Okay. Now I am ready to continue. Please subscribe, like. No. That's 300 million. You're off by 100 factor. No, a 10 factor. Okay. 300 million in the next 3 years. Okay. So this is a very important one. It was written by all these psychotic neocons who work Bechtel. So you're seriously gonna have Bechtel, who else are you gonna have? Like, seriously, Bechtel is gonna write your what the hell is a rhodium? Can somebody figure what this out? See, these are the people who wrote it. Like, oh, Carnegie, ha ha ha, J.P. Morgan Chase, any other psychos? Bechtel. Okay, so all these people are horrible psychos who should be ignored. Okay. So let me get to the important part. Okay. Okay. So first of all, this is funny. Because they don't have okay, this is just okay. When they say something's private, it usually means they don't know. I mean, especially with foreign countries, the thing is that what exactly is the rhodium group? Can somebody figure that out? Okay, can you guys see this? Okay, I'm going on too long, and I'm probably going to bore everyone to death. I did not mean. Okay, it's fine. Okay, so let's just that has to peel back the. What? Okay. This is insane. Okay, correct. Okay, here, this is the important part. Oh my God. Oh my God, they can't compete in the free market that they created. um, that's essentially what the US is like. It's kind of like somebody needs to make these Virgin Chad memes. Okay. In addition, what? What? Okay, so whenever you see post World War II order, think Bretton Woods, GATT, NATO, Nazis. Okay, so first of all, this is funny. So the Belt and Road initiatives fills a need in the free market. See, when it means what the US to reassert its leadership is imperialism, because who the bleep made US the leader of the world? No single person. Belt and Road Initiative. Actually, they are not at all ambiguous. If you know how to read them, they are like, it's like, to me, it's like they're announcing it on like a big speakerphone, and I'm actually very shocked at how open they are. I mean, that's fine to go there. I mean, it's probably a great hotel and a nice place. And it's an important thing. Just remember, it's a psychotic thing. So first of all, no one made US the leader. So when it reasserts its leadership, how do you think it's going to do it? Bombing people, killing everyone that moves, or whatever the US used to do. Wait, decades of that just sounds like is that like some think tank that makes up nonsense in order to provide some kind of foreign policy bombing justification? Just curious. I'm pretty good at translating neocon to human speech, so tell me if I'm right. Shmoopy shaboopy. Okay. So China leverage BRI to draw countries firmly into its orbit. Poor US companies have to compete on unfair terms. And networks are geared towards China and carbon. Okay, this is where you get the green new imperialism. This is not an article. I will share the link right now. It's from the Council of Foreign Relations. It's their Belt and Road report. See, give me 1 second. I'll just give you the link. Let's see. Right here. This report is also on the web and on PDF. I just downloaded the PDF. So here you go. Tell me if you guys got it. I did. Yeah, I just sent you the report. It's the March 20 something one. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see if I can find. It's from March 21, 2011. Okay, let's see. No, March 23rd, not 21st. Here is the report, online format. Okay. I think you found it. What virus? I'm a little nervous now. Okay. Exactly. Shmoopy shaboopy is right. When you understand neocon speak, you can't unsee it. And you're like, why is everyone so stupid? No one does deconstructions because it requires long thought out, and you have to kind of sustain it. So I had to study this for 6 months for me to and have a sustained attention before you can even feel comfortable to talk about it in public, because it's a lot of different things, moving parts you have to understand, and none of them do the I get smeared every day. And by the way, there is this insidious Twitter account. It's this. Please go and report it for impersonating me. No, not Lenin's decree on the press. Lenin wrote many funny pieces. Legal press means press that the Tsar allowed, and the Tsar only allowed presses that were not the threat to him. So he means legal press, and he makes fun of the legal press because they're kind of asswipes. Okay. Okay, so now let's go back to the Council for Foreign Relations. And this is just the intro. Okay, we're just gonna ignore the somebody. If somebody, I don't have time, but if somebody else does, please go to littlesis.org and kind of figure out how these psychos are related to each other. Okay, so now let's go to the report itself. Okay, the Belt and Road Initiative, Chinese President Xi Jinping's signature foreign policy undertaking and the world's largest infrastructure project. The world poses a significant challenge to U.S. economic, political. Okay, so this climate change is bullshit. This is why you need to be careful. Okay. If the US really cared about climate change, they would be going and begging. They would be going and begging Xi Jinping to bring high-speed rails in the US. They're not doing it. So this is BS meant to advance capitalist interests at the cost of the climate. Yes, they're probably suicidal, but they are the way they are. You can't pretend that you can't make them be rash. If they're stupid and if they're suicidal in the way that, if they're going to be kamikaze bombers or whatever, we just have to accept the way they are and deal with it. So they are probably suicidal, and it's not rational, and it'll probably hurt them more because they can't live without a planet, but whatever. Okay. So now, so what they really mean is U.S. Okay, so let me just cross out all the nonsense so that you guys can read this. Okay. Okay, so, okay. And by U.S., they mean, sorry, oops, let me try this. This is basically what they mean, probably. Okay, whatever. I can't, okay, yeah, that's probably what they mean by U.S. economic interests. Since the Belt and Road Initiative launched in 2013, Chinese banks and companies have financed and built everything from power plants. Okay. So, like I said, in third world countries, you don't have power plants because the way imperialism works. Which website is this? Yeah, they're not. They're dying with us. But it doesn't matter. They're not. It doesn't matter why they're not thinking ahead, why they think they'll outsmart anyone. Who cares? It's just the way it is. We have to accept this. Okay. No, he can't go on Mars. There's a really nice article written by this NASA scientist that explains how hard it is. And yeah, they're all suicidal and stupid, or what? They're psychotic, suicidal, stupid, and overconfident. I don't know what else to think. But we can't make them be. New Zealand is an island that's probably going to sink. If they really want to, they need to go to a landlocked country, probably like Kyrgyz, that's up in the mountains, like Tajikistan. Is that landlocked? One of those former Soviet republics in Asia, like it's either Tajikistan or Kyrgyzstan or Kazakhstan. Like one of those is where they need to go. Okay. So, anyways, so with power plants, the thing is that if you look at Africa, let's see if I can show this. And I'm sorry if I'm getting I'm not very. I hope I'm entertaining at least. Am I funny? I need to be funnier. I need to figure out how to. Okay, so here, for example, what you'll see is, let me see if I can share this with you. Okay, so for example, I don't know, this is very blurry. So you see how from Port Elizabeth, for some odd reason, there's a train going to Kimberley and no one is in Kimberley except for some gold mines? Well, that's the kind of infrastructure that they've built. Yeah, so they've built yeah, it's kind of it is okay. Please, by the way, subscribe, become a paid subscriber, donate, do whatever you can. I need more. I wish I could have 100 people like me who can do 100 like deep dives into 100 different psychotic neocon stuff. Okay. Okay, so power plants and railways are important. Highways, ports to telecommunications. Okay, so China is actually building things that these countries need, because if you are in the middle of Africa and anywhere in Africa, let's say that you're in the middle of the Sahara Desert, somewhere in Chad, and there's no power plant. Guess what? You can't build a hospital there, and people die. So you need these railways. Yeah, you need it. Highways, ports, all of these things these countries need. But they will also make temporarily they will make the little climate change bump go up. Okay. So, if implemented sustainably and this is the funniest part. If implemented sustainably and responsibly, BRI has the potential to meet long-standing developing country. Oh, oopsie daisy. Thank you. Okay, let me. I'll try to see if I can meme this. It's really funny. Let's see. Okay. How do I? Okay, just give me 1 second. Thank you. I'm glad I make you laugh. Just give me 1 more minute. That's my one weakness is that I'm really bad at planning. So I will go on divergences. Really. But that's part of my ADHD. Found it. Okay, let me see if I can make this. This is really funny. I'll see if I can meme it. Just okay. I will rant about something really stupid in the meanwhile. Okay, so this part's the hilarious part. Okay. Okay. So okay. Let's see if I can get the okay. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so I did. Let's see. Okay, so now let's share this really funny meme, and I will tweet it out later. See, they literally said, if implemented, this is the Council for Foreign Relations. If implemented sustainably and responsibly, the Belt and Road Initiative has the potential to meet long-standing developing countries' needs and spur economic growth. That means that the Belt and Road Initiative is doing everything that they're claiming. They're not cheating. Yeah, one coast is cut off. Like basically what they did was when the British were building these trains, they went from like gold mine to sea, and that's it. So wherever there's always train lines from gold mines to the sea, but there are no train lines to actually for people. So yeah, let's see. Let me see. What I can Yeah, so now let's go further. To date, however, the risks for both the United States and the what? Okay, so first of all, it's okay. Let me read this so that I. To date, however, the risks for both the United States and the recipient countries raised by the BRI implementation outweighs its benefits. United States and the recipient countries do not have the same risks, and so the risk of some third world country getting clean water versus the US not being able to privatize its water. This is BS. Okay. So, okay. The BRI was initially designed to connect China's modern coastal cities to its underdeveloped interior, to its Southeast, Central, and South Asian neighbors, cementing China's position at the center of a more connected world. What are they? So they're upset that China is making it easier to drive to Kazakhstan. I can't. By the way, I do apologize if I'm okay. I'm just going to look at the map right now of Asia so that I know which countries border China. So that I don't make this mistake again. Okay. So China, it is, I was right. It is Kazakhstan. Okay. Okay. So China has borders in Kazakhstan, Mongolia, India, of course. Yeah. Kyrgyzia. Okay, it also borders Kyrgyzstan, and okay. So China borders Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan. Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, and yeah, okay, and Mongolia, and Korea, Russia. Okay, those are the border countries. So they're just afraid that oh my god, oh no, China's gonna draw. You're gonna be able to drive to Kazakhstan is not That's what they're mad at, basically. Okay. Wow, I've gone on for. Tell me if you guys need a break or if I'm going on for too long. Okay, so now the initiative has since outgrown its original regional corridor and is expanding to all corners of the globe. Oh no. Its scope now includes Digital Silk Road, intended to improve the recipient's telecommunication. Just like somebody said, what did they say? Exactly, this part. Funny thing is that, yep, you see, Roger said this. Okay, let's see what else. Artificial intelligence capabilities, cloud computing. Okay, so this is really useful. Like, let's say that you're like a fruit vendor in Afghanistan, or like a kebab dealer or whatever. Wouldn't it be cool if you could like accept mobile payments? Imagine how much more money you'll get. Surveillance technology. Okay. So this means that they're probably whining, we can't now mass surveil people in Afghanistan. Okay. And other high-tech areas along with the Health Silk Road, designed to operationalize China's vision of global health governance, as in everyone gets healthcare. Awesome. Hundreds of projects around the world now fall under the BRI umbrella. Great. China's pursuing BRI out of the belief that the initiative could simultaneously address a number of issues, closing the gap between the country's affluent coastal cities and impoverished interior, like Xinjiang, boosting domestic political stability, absorbing its excess manufacturing capacity, putting its accumulated savings to work, securing a consistent source of inputs for its manufacturing sector, and reorienting global commerce away from Western Europe towards China. That's just kind of really stupid because most of the world, let me show you. If you look at the world population, so okay, okay, most of the world lives inside that circle. So most of the world's commerce should be there. There's nothing about reorienting it. It's just the way populations are. So more people live inside here. Everyone, like India's a billion, China's a billion. There's a lot. It's just the way the world is. So yeah, since no one is so this itself is what is supposed to happen when you're not an imperialist bastard. Okay, so now let's see. Let's go further. Okay. The task force finds that China is advancing this in worrying ways. Whenever they don't, who does it worry and why is what you have to ask always. Who, why? Who, why? Undermine the global macroeconomic. What global macroeconomic stability are you talking about, you psychos? Okay. And increase the likelihood that debt crises will materialize by largely issuing debt sustainability analysis and funding economically question. This is where the psychosis comes from. So what they're mad at is that China is going to fund projects and then these countries won't be under the thumb of the IMF or the World Bank. They're funding economically questionable, heavily indebted countries. So indebted by what? IMF crap. Subsidize privileged market entry for state-owned and non-market Chinese companies. Oh no, we can't profit. Enable China to lock countries into the Chinese ecosystems by pressing its technology and preferred technical standards on BRI recipients. Yeah, but no one stopped you from giving these countries technology for the past 100 or 400 bloody fucking years, you motherfucking imperialists. So shut the fuck up. Like, so this is what I mean. Why don't these countries have technology? Because you are motherfucking imperialists who wanted to impoverish them. So now they're crying. Well, like they had 400 years to do this and they refused to do, or it's maybe 300. Okay. You motherfuckers. Okay. Ensure countries' dependence on carbon. Okay. This is the bullshit green new imperialist nonsense. Countries' dependence on carbon-intensive power for decades through its export of coal-fired power plants, making climate change mitigation significantly more difficult. Like I said, no one stopped you motherfuckers from making cleaner, greener technology and giving it to third world countries in the past 200 years. So you're crying because now somebody isn't. Yeah. Making it harder for the World Bank and other traditional lenders to insist on what the fuck is a high standard by offering quick, easy infrastructure packages that forego rigorous environmental and social assessment and ignoring project management practices and tolerating corruption. Okay. So basically they're saying that you know how traditional lenders had high standards, as in we underdeveloped Africa. No, this is not a word salad. This is neocons. This is not a word salad. This is psychotic neocon speech. Please share and tell everyone that they have to watch this stream because it's so important for them, for the world. Well, and no. High standards is we won't build this project because we don't think that after privatizing half of your water and us stealing this, you can both provide profit with your privatized water, with my privatized water, and what? Yeah. So this is like I said, the World Bank underdeveloped these countries, and China is offering quick and easy infrastructure packages, as in they're not underdeveloping these countries. They are allowing for these countries to have what you guys have had for the past 400 years. And this anytime the US government says anything about corruption, just think Lavajato, Bolsonaro, and ignore it. Exactly. That's what they mean. They won't use our convoluted middleman. Have you guys tweeted this out and told your friends to join? Share in your group DM and say that it's very important to join. Okay. Leaving countries more susceptible to Chinese political pressure while giving China the greater, this is a word salad. Who cares? Okay. U.S. inaction, as in we were motherfuckers who wanted to keep you guys poor, as much as Chinese assertiveness is responsible for the economic and strategic predicament in the United States finds itself. So, yeah. They're like saying they're saying like we have to face the consequences of us being psychotic ghouls. U.S. withdrawal? You mean you helped create the vacuum China filled? Okay. Although United States long ago identified an interest in promoting infrastructure, but they did not because it was not profitable, and trade and connectivity throughout Asia, and repeatedly invoked the imagery of Silk Road, it has not met the needs of the region. So yeah, we failed. Or not, we didn't fail. We wanted to be super rich and keep you guys super poor. And so we're gonna its own lending and investment in BRI countries was limited and now declining. They wanted to keep it poor for mineral extraction. Its cutbacks in research and development and investment in advanced technologies. Okay, no one fucking told you to do austerity. You did it on your own, you motherfuckers. Okay, have allowed China to move ahead in development and sale of fifth generation 5G technology, the installation of high-speed rail, and the production of solar and wind energy, which we need for climate change, the promulgation of electronic payment forms, the development of ultra high. Wow. Okay, so this means that if China can send like have wind farms in one area and send that power to like far away places that the US can't. Despite enjoying a leading role in the World Bank and regional development banks, the United States has watched those institutions. Has watched. Come on, as in we made it do that. Like we're the ones who made you privatize your wall instead of like building a bridge and privatizing it. You decided to privatize their water and steal it. So you're not watching. You did it. It's your actions. Your consequence of your action is that you. Yeah, this is karma, my friend. Washington has not joined a regional trade and investment agreements that would have enhanced U.S. They mean the TPP. Yeah, these collective shortcomings allowed China to tap into a legitimate need around the world for new infrastructure, legitimate need, and fill the gap in financing infrastructure and construction in a ways that benefit it. Update Marx in Soho. Send me the link. Yeah, so areas in the middle of the Sahara are finally going to get worse. And they didn't make people enemies. Like most of the world were not people. They were just things to be exploited. And yeah, it's okay. Beijing's ability to offer hard and digital infrastructure around the world at low prices. This sounds like the marketplace, the free market. If Beijing can do it, it sounds like you got outcompeted, it sounds like you totally got outcompeted. And is made possible by a combination of political backing from the Chinese community. What the bleep is the political backing? The financial power of its state-owned banks and excess capacity in a number of important sectors, and its development of large again, sounds like you lost in the free market. Yeah, but China also has 1 billion point X people, so it's like, yeah, you have a lot of they should have the biggest market in the world because they have the biggest population. Okay, so you lost in the free market, and you can't handle the free market, and now they're going to do psychotic things. If BRI meets little competition or resistance, Beijing could become the hub of global trade, set important technical standards that would disadvantage non-Chinese companies. Oh my God, we have to think of ExxonMobil and them being disadvantaged. Okay. We need to make a big crying Wojak meme for America itself. It's like America, like these people are big crying Wojaks. Lock countries into carbon intensive. Okay, this is nonsense. I'd rather lock countries into carbon intensive power generation than carbon intensive child slave cobalt mining. Have greater influence. What? The US should have no influence on any country's political decision. And I don't know what the fuck is power projection capabilities? This is probably that they're worried that China's gonna nuke them, or I don't know what this means, but somebody can figure this out. We'll figure this out. Okay. Let's see. I will go on for. Okay. The United States has a clear interest in adopting a strategy that both pressures China to alter its BRI practices, like what practices, why do you want it to alter, and provide an effective alternative to BRI. What is sustain? Okay, see what I mean? Bastards. This part. Motherfuckers. What do you mean by sustainable? By sustainable, you mean sustainable for capitalism. Because China's doing is very sustainable. It's not sustainable for Bechtel to privatize the water if China's not going to privatize your water. Upholds, okay, Lava Jato, okay, physician, clean dye house, and anti-corruption standards, Lava Jato, Bolsonaro. Ensures U.S. companies do not need a level playing field because you guys went to war over bananas. Yeah, the alternative is private. Yeah, so you were not, okay, you decided that you don't want a level playing field when you decided to murder those banana workers asking for cash as opposed to company script. So screw you. You don't deserve a level playing field. Oh, they've already done probably horrible stuff if you Google hard enough. Like just Google all the records from whenever they were open, just go to old New York Times and you'll see. Like if you put all those dates consecutively, you'll see what they did. It's probably horrible. Okay. Preserving their United States. Okay. Is this a joke? To do so, the task force recommends a 4-pronged strategy to okay, okay. This is actually, I think I've ranted for long enough. But yeah, exactly. This is why you want to be careful about green new imperialism. That's exactly what they're going to do. That's what they're doing in Myanmar. About 10 years ago, they were building some dam. And then what they did is they got like one of their psychotic regime change they did this last year with Evo, 2 years ago with Evo Morales too. Remember the SOS Bolivia thing with these like fascists where they were well, I'm gonna have to check this. This is usually capitalists getting outsmarted. But yeah, they did it with SOS Bolivia, where they had all these fascists try to coup Evo Morales because of the Chiquitania forest that probably the Unión Juvenil Cruzanista set on fire. Well, that's exactly what they did with Myanmar. So this is what I mean by green new imperialism. These countries need these things because you, as a Westerner, already have these. You're getting water, you're getting electricity. You are not. So, and your psychotic government has done this has had about 400 years, and all the carbon emissions is from you and your psychotic government for 400 years. And your psychotic government, even though they knew about climate change, just destroyed, just went on and on and on. Connor said he just finished teaching English at a very boogie energy transition think tank in Berlin, and these are the most green imperialist ever. Carbon neutral without targeting. Like I said, when the reason why Africans are poor is because they don't have the labor saving devices like the tractors that the West purposefully withheld from them. And now you're going to say that we want to keep this relationship permanent and it's our fault, but you're going to, I mean, it's so maddening. Okay, since Western imperialists can't compete on the rigged free market they created, do you think they'll punish they've already done that. But the thing is that, remember, I don't know if remember the very first thing about the middle class. The U.S. needs the middle class. What is it? U.S. power lies in its middle class. They have to, in order. Okay, so this is the problem. If they lower their workers' standard of living too much, what's going to happen is that the workers, their propaganda won't work. Your propaganda only works if you are comfortable enough never to check underneath the surface, never to open up if your car is running nice, you're not going to open up the engine and transmission to see what's wrong. Well, when you cut back on workers and lower living standards, what's going to happen is that inevitably means that your car is going to stall and the workers are going to open this and they're not going to like what they see when they open it. And the first thing is you can't get them to go shoot people in your death squads. That's the entire... Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, hold on. Shmoopy Shaboopy, let me read the comment for you. Which comment, Mr. Piece of Work? Can you retype the comment so I can read it? Okay. Okay. So, oh, you're not literally blind. Okay. I in law school I had a literally blind friend. So, okay. So they can't. That's the dilemma they're in. They can't actually do that too much. If they cut back their own workers, what's going to happen is they're not going to get these death squads. People are going to be like, "Screw you! We're going to go." And so, in order to keep their death squads, they need to keep their middle class. And that's the catch-22, is that if they can't keep their middle class, because they need to have an exploitative relationship with Africa in order to keep their middle class. John Zamad. So now if China moves in, African country, they can't ask child slaves to mine cobalt, because now the child slaves are going to be going to school and you're going to have grown-ups and pay them more. And that means that you're going to have to sacrifice your profits to keep the middle class, but they don't want to sacrifice their profits. And that's their entire dilemma. Is that if they really need their middle class to be their death squads to shoot at, to steal resources from the barrel of a gun. So that's why I'm worried about the Green New Imperialism, because when you control about China, but you're not actually building high-speed rails in the US, well, you're not really concerned about climate change. You're more concerned about the fact that China's not gonna give these countries a way to defend themselves so that you can't steal their cobalt from the barrel of a gun. So that's, I guess, in short, the entire pretense of the Green New Imperialism. Mr. Piece of Work said, collateral damage, mysterious deaths of Marilyn Monroe, JFK, and Dorothy Kilgallen. There are a bunch of other mirrors and other presentations. Okay. So, yeah. And so what you'll see is that American Westerners are going to act like Pavlov's dog the minute they hear the word green, carbon. They're going to totally be supporting these sanctions against solar panels from China. That's why they started the bullshit genocide about Xinjiang, because then they can sanction and ban the imports because they can't compete in the free market of ideas, or not ideas, I'm sorry, free market of goods or ideas. So that is where the entire catch-22 is. Connor said, and the EU has all these big carbon neutral goals without ever addressing big agro, transportation alternatives, and the military. It's all individual consumer habits, veganism, and electric cars. Well, the thing is that consumer habits are like so little. And also, to be fair, it's 100, like, in the grand scheme of things, the EU's not really polluting that much, I guess. But Bayer did the Holocaust. No, seriously, they did. They shouldn't exist. I don't know why they exist. If the technology does not exist now, it's not practical. I personally have come in contact with Western leftists who have taken 100% neoliberal pill when the environment comes up. Geoengineering is a fool's errand and it keeps getting brought up. Okay. If the technology it does not exist now, just assume, yes, I know. Monsanto probably owns most of the farmland in the world, and then they own all the crops and God knows what else they own. Okay. Yeah, so I know that I did not they can't do that's okay. You might as well be talking about warp drives and Star Trek, because if it's not invented, if it's not viable right now, there is no way anyone in the West will make it viable before apocalypse. So yeah, that sounds like that sounds like they're doing some kind of Star Trek fan fiction right there. Ignore that. Well, not ignore it, but so now most people in the West are extremely no one ever innovated out of anything, because innovations don't work that way. Are extremely stupid. For lack of a better, I'm just sorry, just stupid. So they're not going to get these subtleties. And then, the propaganda where if you repeat something 100,000 times with the headline, like authoritarian, 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 you'll even get probably everything besides us and the gray zone to repeat it. I think, yeah, basically me, the gray zone, and Dan Cohen, everyone else will repeat it. I don't know what that even is. Yeah, so and I guess it's also I'm not very interested in future stuff, because it's like a way that a lot of Westerners, like, if you want to wear Klingon suits and speak in Klingon and do Star Trek science fan fiction fantasy stuff, sure, go ahead. But those fantasies are not going to solve anything with the carbon emissions. So if it does not exist right now, it's not going to be done in the future. Abli Liu said, when imperialists place member of a minority sect in power, like Iraq or Syria, it helps maintain their power because the minority is relying on their backing. Can we understand the elite powers minority over the Western? It does not matter. I don't want to talk about Caleb Maupin ever. It's not that I dislike him. I like him a lot, but this is stupid. I do not want to ever talk. And I'm going to ban you if you mention this one more time. I'm also very, okay, I'm just going to be TMI. I am having my periods and I'm very short tempered on top of it. So, yeah, I will ban people if they're going to talk about Caleb Maupin. I'm sorry. I like Caleb Maupin, but I do not want to talk about that. Okay, sorry if I gave you too much information about my periods, but I can't. My fuse is so short when I'm having my periods. Okay. And if I don't mention it, you guys are going to think that I'm being a bitch. So, but I can't. It's just like, okay. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so when imperialists place members of a minority sect in power in Iraq and Syria, it helps maintain their power because the minority is relying on their backing. Can we understand the elite minority's power over the Western leaders this way? No, because it's kind of funny when you notice that Syria is majority Sunni, but they put Assad's dad in power, who is Shia. Iraq is majority Shia, and they put Saddam Hussein in power. And Abd al-Karim al-Qasim was so cool that he would pray in private so people would never know if he was Sunni or Shia. But the thing is that what's the main difference is that Assad actually cares. So after the first round of protests in 2011, within 2 weeks, he had met with the protesters and offered concessions with regarding to housing prices and some other thing. I forgot what it was. So no, the best analogy is the Tsar of Russia. So Western elites are like the Tsar of Russia. They don't care. They're like, nothing you say matters. You don't matter. You're not human. You can't make them do anything they don't want to do. And if they want to do something, it's probably not good for you. So yeah. So no, with Assad or even Saddam Hussein, he responded to popular power pressure. He went on a nationalizing spree like in the late 90s. Assad too. So no, the Western puppets. Like if you are Assad, you have to live in Syria and die in Syria. So you kind of have to do what the Syrian people kind of want you to do because you're going to die in Syria. Otherwise, not live like the Tsar of Russia. But the Westerners, they're not going to be dying in Syria. They are living in the US. And so they're used to that relationship. And the way they've constructed America, they know that you guys are not a threat. You're not going to be that existential threat to them. So no, Western elites are think of the Western elites exactly like you would think of the Tsar of Russia. They're not, just because they have a facade of democracy does not mean they'll care about you anymore. Divide and conquer. I think it's more of a conquer and kill than divide, but whatever. Like they'll pay one group of people to conquer the other, and so it's more of a conquer and kill. And yeah, so no, Western elites, yeah, so Western elites are less democratic. And okay, speaking of this, I'm sorry, before we go, I'm going to do one more thing. Okay. I like that the Alabama miners are protesting, but a lot of Westerners think that, let me just share my drawing, because a lot of Westerners think that, let's see, okay. Yeah, a lot of Westerners think that this is how the world works. And it's not how the world works. And sorry, I got upset. Like I said, I have a short fuse. I didn't mean to. Okay. So now let's see. And you have to stay away from this temptation. You see this? People show up in public with signs. The democracy fairy. The democracy fairy spreads democracy dust. Everyone gets freedom. And yeah, everyone gets freedom. And then the dictator. So a lot of these people, Americans, like you've seen these Gene Sharp color revolution protests. What they won't tell you is that it's not the protests, it's the death squads murdering everyone in government and beheading them and raping them and whatnot. It is not the protest that leads to the regime change. It's the throwing people out of helicopters. No, it's not co-opted. It is there. The protest is for Western. It's like a performance for Westerners to not pay attention to the fact that they are raping and beheading teenagers and throwing people out of the helicopters or whatever else that the death squads do. So a lot of Westerners think that if you kind of just show up at a place with signs, a lot of times you're going to get anything meaningful. The 8 years worth of Black Lives Matter protests should show you that showing up in public with signs is not enough to dislodge the state apparatus. The state apparatus. So you have to think more strategically. There may not be a way to dislodge the state apparatus for all I know. But protesting is maybe a good way for networking, meeting new people who also want to protest, who also want change, whatever. But remember, no matter how many protests you'll have, you won't really have change. Yeah, BBC needs to shut the bleep up. And yeah, so that's no, there is nothing to co-opt, as in let's see, how do I explain it? Basically, yes, if countries get infrastructure, that means they will be able to fight back on raw material exploitation. Because, for example, if you have a highways and you're not relying on the one that's owned by De Beers or whatever gold company, you're gonna be like, okay, screw you, this is our mine, we're gonna use this and we're gonna get rid of you and you're gonna have to sell it to us at this price. Like, so yes, they will ask for a better deal. Well, in the West, with the government that you have right now that is not designed to take your opinion into consideration, that is correct. It may be different in different countries. Okay. But again, whatever the DNC and the establishment, like there is no, how do I explain this? So this is going to get me in trouble. I need to figure out a way to explain this. Okay. So many people were very, I know, as Lenin says, like in What Is to Be Done, the Black Lives Matter movement came out of actual people crying out for help after getting brutalized by the police. So it's like a consciousness in embryonic format. I'm literally paraphrasing Lenin in What Is to Be Done. So that the movement itself, where people came in embryon to protest to show that they, like, this is the injustice, is a way of explaining the problem to others who may not understand it. But it has never been structured to actually address the problem because it is leaderless. It is spontaneous. It only comes when the police shoot somebody on camera. And it is responsive to that. So, and because of these three things, it's not a sustained effort to dislodge whatever is keeping the system ossified in this way with the police. And I don't know what it is, to be honest. And so I guess that was the limitation of the Black Lives Matter movement. What the DNC did was like, hey, we can use it to fearmonger and fearmonger against how racist the Republicans are and provide false promises. And so that's what they did. So they didn't really I don't like the word co-opt because people don't really, I don't want to give people the wrong, while the grievances themselves are 100% valid, the way in which the past 7 to 10 years of showing up every time you see a police video and you can't even get a conviction. You've gotten 1-2 convictions. You can't even get a bloody conviction with all that protest. And a lot of people are getting shot by police too and brutalized. So I would say it's not even, it was never, I guess, they did not I guess most Americans did not really understand. It's exactly what I was saying, the Gene Sharp fiction democracy theory model. Regardless of how much you protest, if your government is designed to not care, it won't do anything. There's no incentive because they don't care. So you can't make them care. They don't ever see you as a threat because they know that most people protesting really think it's like, really ask them. They can't give you anything beyond, okay, we show up at protests and then they'll say something about the civil rights movement. Forget that the reason why the civil rights movement worked was because the Soviet Union existed and the US was scared and it was like a decolonization. Yeah, that's correct. That is absolutely correct. What I'm saying is that what people have done is that they've responded to spontaneity. It has not been a planned, sustained effort for dislodging the apparatus that keeps the police the way it is. Yes. That's the big battle, is people think there's still some kind of there was never any. There was the Soviet Union, and that's it. Like, there is no, and the Soviet Union had nukes, and they were trying to decolonize Africa. They were decolonizing Africa, and US wanted to get its grubby hands on all the minerals, and you can't get your grubby hands on all these minerals if you're openly racist and have segregation. So the US did quote unquote a little bit of integration as a performance in order to get their grubby hands, but they have their grubby hands on all these minerals, so they don't need to perform anymore. In fact, the US trains all these police around the world, so that's actually free advertising for US police brutality services because the US exports it. It's called the Jakarta method. No. Okay, if that's not the most useful way, don't listen to the CIA, listen to Lenin. Yeah. Why would you listen to the CIA? Like, unless it's a secret document that's like 30 years admitting something, why would you listen to the CIA? Why wouldn't you listen to, like, hold on, it came out of hold on. Well, okay, let me see the first part. I said, yeah, I see this, but I don't see how this comment is related to this. Okay, whatever. Well, somebody in Congress can speak for you. You should expect them, but it's not going to be done. Okay, again, has the CIA whistleblower overthrown the Tsar and fought 14 different countries and conquered and won? No. So I'd ignore them. Lenin did. Okay. Really, I think Americans should understand that in the terms of leftism, you should, like, seriously, like, this is like the kind of chauvinism and racism, like, that's like so stupid. Like, why would you listen to somebody who's a failure? Anyways, yeah, so what you'll realize is that, yeah, well, the reason why people think that is because they have never had to examine their cars, never broken down, and they had never to examine under the hood to see how anything works. Got it. I'm sorry, but yeah. Yeah, so as you noticed, okay, what you should notice with the Belt and Road Initiative is that if they're willing to abandon the free market, they'll abandon anything else. So they'll probably change the procedure to do a constitution if you even manage to do it that way. So yeah, there is, it's like, yeah, so most Americans are so comfortable that they'll never examine anything under the hood. So they will keep up with these illusions. And yeah, so yeah, nothing will fundamentally change until they get rid of these illusions and they actually look at under the hood, and no one knows what to do, because if somebody did, we would have done it already. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, with police brutality, that's just free advertising, because the US sells these weapons and police training to all these despots around the world. And so at this point, police brutality is just free advertising. Well, Americans are, because they just don't have the analytical skills to think about long term and not just launch onto every trend. It will never be uncomfortable. It won't be uncomfortable enough. Like, it'll be way too late. Yeah. Anything else? Let me see. I just want to make sure I got everything. I don't know who Turgid Flux is, or Zappa is, but apparently Americans are affected by TV programming. Yes. There's a lot of things working against Americans developing any kind of even ability to analyze the programs. So it's a hard road ahead. And I will, I guess, try to be back some other time. I actually don't like, I like impromptu streams. I just don't like to be committed to when I stream. So yeah, everything adds up. Like, I'm just gonna say this. Like, I see that, like, there's this group called Fred Hampton Left, and they often talk about protesting and not relying on Congress, but then they're just like relying on the idea that a protest will work. I don't know. I don't think it will, but yeah. So like I said, I'm gonna go back to my rule. If they don't know, with Americans, I'm just gonna say ignore anyone who has not read Lenin. That's basically that's literally what I'm going to say. Like I don't know when I'll do my next impromptu stream, but I will have to prepare more, because I do want to definitely talk about green new imperialism, but I realized that it's such a long thing to talk about. This is just the surface. And I need to figure out different ways to explain this in order for people to get it. But in the meanwhile, if you guys see any articles or can somebody volunteer to be the Green New Imperialism article collector so that if you need any, and I will be back whenever I want to be back, I guess, to talk further about the Green New Imperialism. Have a good rest of the day.